And today we're talking about Starjoy. This set dates back to one of my first. I remember somebody in my Facebook page talking about Starjoy. I'd never heard of them, and I remember thinking the name was really goofy, and because of that, I had avoided them after that. But this was when Arteza and Arteza was on the rise, when that was all the hype back then. Starjoy kind of made its presence, and I remember being really excited to get my hands on them because I had somebody I had trusted in the group kept on just raving about these pencils. So, when I finally got them, I was pretty happy just because they were different. I'd never, I knew nothing about them. It comes with the book, and it's funny because this lets you know how far these pencils for me date back. If I were to get these today, this would probably stay blank. This was just before I was really doing swatch sheets, family swatch sheets. I would fill these out. And again, it's always nice when they provide this for those of you who don't have your own swatch sheets or print out your own swatch sheets. I like that they include this. If we look at this pencil, we're talking about a gorgeous, gorgeous pencil. Something extremely unique is this gold back. Usually when the backs are dipped, they're dipped in the color of the pencil. So like the pencil might be black or might be a certain color or wood, but the backs are the color of the leads. You have pencils like Ooku is one of the sets I could think of that the backs are dipped in pearl white, which is also unique. But I really, really like this gold. It's classy. There's an elegance to it where there is a shine to it. It's not like a matte gold. There is definitely some metallic in there, which again, I think is really, really neat. It makes these stand out a little more. Something unique about the color order. The way these are set up, it's 1R, 2R, 3R, then you hit your OR, your OY, your Y, your YG. What they've done here is they've tried to capture the color wheel. So you have 1 red, 2 red, 3 red, and then you go to orange red, you go to orange, you go to yellow orange, green, green, blue, so they basically took the color wheel and they laid it out in such a way that these pencils will run that gambit. My critique of that, my very unnecessary critique of that, is it doesn't really follow it. It's cool that they're trying to capture the color wheel within these pencils, within these colors, but the way that the gradient order kind of jumps around doesn't really do it. There's not really, other than the back end here, the front end doesn't really capture the colors. This doesn't really feel like it's going in the proper color wheel order. If I was to work these in a color wheel, it would definitely be a different order. But this isn't me knocking it. This is just me just being critical about this, trying to understand why they were doing this. And again, I do understand because they're trying to go for the color wheel, but it kind of starts falling apart when you lay it in color wheel order. But that's neither here nor there. That's just me pointing out something, pointing out my opinion on something. If we look at the pencils, got 3 trays, gorgeous, gorgeous pencils, beautiful colors. Let's look at one of them. So here we have a base green. So it's nice because in the gold, they have green. The other side is your 58J. And it's funny because I'm like, what does J stand for? I'm gonna have to look into that. So you have your 58J. You have your logo on the side. You have your black band, your gold dipped back. Again, very nice. So something else I do like and I got to appreciate here is I like that both the number and the name is in this gold lace because it doesn't matter what color the pencil will be. This will stay gold consistently. So your numbers and your names will always stand out. Your numbers are in numerical order, which is fantastic because now you have a nice gradient order going on and you have a nice numerical order going on. So organization for these pencils are fantastic. Let's look at some of the colors. So here we have them laid out in family swatch order. You can see that your yellows go pretty smooth into your darker yellows and then into your orange. And then from your orange, they go into your reds, into your brick reds. From that point, it drops down into your peaches. They have a really nice selection of peaches, your peaches into your pinks, into your mauves, into your purples, and they eventually transition into the violets. On the ochre side, the ochre does exist. It kind of jumps pretty quickly from your light into your dark, which goes into your browns, into your burnt umber, into your sienna, which is a really nice option to have for your browns. It goes into your greens, and that goes into your deep, deep forest greens, and then it has your lime, your chartreuse colors mixed in. You go into your turquoise, your teals, your blues into that more of that blue violet, and then you have a really nice selection of grays. If you look here, you'll see this is just, it's a bizarre palette to me. And that's not a bad thing. That's a different thing. And different can be good in the world of color pencils. If we look up here, some of the things like the transition, you have your light yellow into your rich, deep canary yellow, which is nice. And then it starts over again from your yellow into your deep canary yellow. And then there's a big, massive jump between that yellow and orange. There's really nothing that falls between the two. There's not that soft gradient where you build up into your true orange and then your deep orange. And then same thing here when we look at the reds. We start back over with the orange. Now, the reason these are laid out that way is there's such a jump, I can't put these two together. And then this one really has nowhere to go. So this is the best way that I could figure out the family ordering these. And it's a bizarre look. It's a bizarre palette because your reds kind of skip around. You have it touches down on the reds here, touches down on the reds here, and then some of the reds here. But this one has more of the orange in it. This one has more of your mauve in it. So it's just a bizarre palette because even then your transition is kind of choppy right here. Let's look over here at the ochre. It is the same exact thing. You have your cream into your ochre, but even then I was still looking for that deeper mustard yellow, that true ochre, and it's really not there. Ochre is kind of in between these two. This one has a little more of the green in it, and same thing with the browns. There's not a smooth transition. Same thing here if we look at the greens. So it's choppy. There's not real smooth transitions. The only true green we have is this section right here. And the rest of it, it falls into more of a clay and more of an earth tone of these greens. And I'm saying that, don't take that with a negative. Don't take my tone negatively. Because again, this could be good. It's just very different. It's a very different color palette because you don't have the gradients. Now, if you were to go very smoothly, from the light green into the dark green, you're going to be missing some of these colors that are here. And you're going to be missing some of the colors that are here. It's a very, very pretty palette. Your purples, if you look at them here, it's a beautiful set of purples. There is some repetition that you can see. I'm sure you see it all over, but there is some repetition, but it's not bad. But I just wanted to point this as a whole so you can see the whole thing together that this is a very different palette. And because of that, I actually like these pencils a lot. It just took my brain some getting used to lay it out properly. Now, if we're going to talk about the attributes of this pencil, it's an oil pencil. So it does hold its point when you sharpen it, but it's soft enough that it does push. It pushes through kind of like you would find in a Prismacolor. There is a bit of wax buildup to it, not in the form of blooming, but in the form of your pigment having a hard time blossoming on the page the way you might want it to. But I would imagine in something like a basic paper or an Amazon paper, you might have a little harder time getting the pigment down. They do layer very well and they blend very well, but there is just a waxiness to them. And something else I want to point out before I forget, this color palette does not offer a white, which is really, really unusual. You have your black, but you don't have your white color. So I had to use another white to make this work. I purposely drew something on a tone paper because these pencils were soft enough that I knew these colors would come out, and they did. They came out beautifully. They were very, very vibrant on this dark tone paper. In fact, I would say these were more vibrant than your H&B Black Edition type pencils just because of their softness. They were a lot of fun to use. I remember when I first used these, before I knew as much as I know now, I did enjoy them more. Going back into them, they were a little bit sticky, and pushing the colors down, it just took my brain a little bit to figure out exactly how to make them work. But by no means were these pencils a struggle. I had a lot of fun with them. But because they did go down so well on brown paper, it did surprise me they didn't include a white. I guess they assumed that everybody's gonna already have a white, or that, what are you gonna use the white for? I think it's a mistake not including it, but at the same time, I also think, well, you did get one more color out of it. That's one of those personal preferences. This company just kind of went with their gut on this and made the palette the way they did, and that includes not putting a white in there. But as far as my recommendation for these pencils, it will be, I believe, a love or hate. I could see somebody going into this set and having a lot of complaints about the way they perform, about the color palette, about the softness to them, and the abundance of wax feel when you're pushing the pencil down onto your paper. But at the same time, I could see a lot of people loving this pencil because of the softness. They're not gonna have the same quality as like a Sanford Prismacolor, but I think at this point, I say they hold a candle to Premier's Prismacolor. If it's something you want to dabble with from going to a Prismacolor into an oil, this is not a bad option for you. I think there might be better options out there, especially when it comes to price, but I don't think it's a mistake to get these either. This is one of those that I'm really on the fence with, just because some of the things that I see people loving about them are the exact same thing I see some people hating about them.